So as far as today is concerned, we have news 15 after the open. So it's a little bit of an odd time. The typical 8:30 or 10 a.m. news, that's obviously the more common release, but we have a little bit right after the open, 15 minutes. So the idea would be based on where we're likely to open, I would be just waiting for something. I'd be waiting until after the news just because as I wrote in my pre-market game plan, I don't think we're going to immediately drive higher off the open. It is possible we drive lower, but I don't necessarily need to be involved in a short here. Right? We're breaking out of the range. I'm not really concerned with trading against that just yet. Obviously there will be development that might come at some point where I will want to trade back into the range. But as it stands right now, I'm just going to go ahead and work off of the assumption that this range is breaking to the upside for now. So I expect today to at least close higher than it opened. We did obviously leave an unfilled gap. I do think that can be left. I don't think it has to be traded back towards. So as far as bias goes, I am looking for higher prices, but I don't want to aggressively mark it in. I'd rather bid something obviously lower, right? So maybe if we're looking ES, maybe 57.75 area. You have that low from around 6 a.m. Eastern, somewhere around there. And then if we're talking NQ, maybe the 200s, maybe closer to VWAP, maybe closer to that 15-minute fair value gap. Maybe, let's see, is there a 60-minute level? Yeah, probably closer to 200. So I'm just looking for that. I'm more of a passive buyer in this situation. I'm not trying to be actively trying to market in. I don't think this is a day to rush. It is Monday. I am already up from last night, so I don't even need to do anything. I'm only going to trade if I see something that is high probability that I can actually get positioned well for. But if we're just going to perpetually push higher, I don't have a trade for that right now. That's not the model I need to be concerned with. I just need to be concerned with some sort of pullback. That's all I'm looking for. So whether or not you choose to engage the same way, that's going to be up to you, obviously. Right now, all we have is a bit of a consolidation in this upper portion of the London expansion. So based on everything that I can see, it just tells me just to be patient. I do think better entries will come later on in the session. Right, so if we're talking levels, make sure this works. Can I see this? Yeah, okay. So we're talking levels. I'll go through some right now. Essentially, if you're looking at this, it'd be like this area. If we could run down here, so we got this low, it would do relatively little to disrupt the character of this move so far. So I'd be cool with that. Honestly, I'd be really cool with that. I'd want that to maybe happen after 10 a.m. That way we do not flip the 4-hour candle on ES and I suppose on NQ as well. I don't want the 4-hour, like if we're looking at the 4-hour, I don't want it to look like this. Let's get our 4-hour. So if I want us to pull back into 57.75, like this area, I don't want this to happen before the 4-hour right here closes. Because if this dips down, this will be a huge tail on the top, and then that's a potential swing point formation up here. So if we're going to dip lower, it will be after 10 a.m., which, is in line with my sentiment regarding data. I don't want this candle to flip. And then the same thing is likely true on NQ. Very similar structure. But that's my general game plan. So wait until at least the news. Look for maybe some sort of microstructure, but generally speaking, I think the best setup is going to come after 10 a.m. Maybe it breaks the opening range low, sweeps it to the downside, and then we can run for the upside. So if you have questions on any of that, just let me know. What are you guys looking at? How was your weekend? Yeah, just fire away. What's everyone been up to? And just, everyone should be able to type in the chat, so let me know if that's not true or something. I think it's really important too to consider the daily chart because this is a bad habit that people will have. They'll look at the daily chart, right? So they'll pull up a daily, and then they'll see all of this move down, right? They will see all of this. They'll see it bottom out, and then they'll see it flip, and then they immediately go, I need to short this. No, the fuck you don't. You could just not do that because, oh, this is just all of a sudden going to be another swing high immediately. Like, what is the likelihood of that? We just went down for how long? And now we're starting to bounce and you want to fade this? This is the first sign of any sort of upside that we've seen. So my thoughts are we're more likely to drive towards this range right here. That little previous new week opening gap, if you want to kind of zoom in, you see it. But on the 4 hour, it looks like that. That's the area of interest. I told everyone on the pre-market game plan that I posted for NQ, there's that level there. It's the same level. Yeah, so this 363 level is something that I have in mind. Not necessarily for today, but it's not out of the cards. So I do definitely want to wait for news, and I do definitely want to wait as close to 10 a.m. as possible. I would anticipate an opening range to form, and it'd be preferable to say the least. I don't think it'd be much of a benefit to anybody if it just drove higher or lower off the open. I'd rather give it some time to consolidate because, again, I don't want to be positioning myself if something like a 4 hour swing high forms. I don't want to be getting long, So there's just a couple different variables right here. Based on the structure, it is more of a nuanced setup. You have to kind of think ahead, right? This isn't just, buy low, sell high, right? You have to think, are you actually buying low or is it the candle flipping on a higher time frame? Because if this 4 hour turns into a hammer to like with the top tail, there's no world where I really want to be aggressively buying that, especially after 10 a.m. So just playing the candle closures. You'll hear me talk about that a lot. I'm always talking about candle closures because, again, if this flips, it changes my outlook on what we're doing above this swing high. It goes from being a potential break to a likely sweep. And then from there, it'd be you trade back into this. So if we make new lows before 10 a.m., I do think maybe back to here, but I don't think all the way down to here or anything. I think maybe here and then it bounces. And then that might be the low of week. So that's those are the two scenarios that I see. But yeah, not super aggressive today. There's no need to be. The market moved already a decent amount in the last, 16 hours, I guess, pretty much. And yeah, it's just refine it from there. Yeah, dude. See you later. So we got about 5 minutes till the open. The idea is you'd want to just see how are we going to develop, right? I do think a move lower, somewhat. I don't want it to be super aggressive though. Just based on that 4 hour candlestick. If that starts to flip, it really will kind of change your opinion for at least the short term. But yeah, we'll just pick apart some charts this morning. Look for a potential setup, but main thing, just be patient. Be patient. It rarely will hurt you in the long term to be patient. I'm not sure if I have a bias more today towards ES or NQ. I think they're both pretty comparable. Just looking at the overall structure on all my charts, I think you could get by trading either. I don't think you're at a disadvantage for choosing one over the other. But yeah, today goal will be done by 10:30 Eastern. Just keep it simple, keep it straightforward trading today. We don't need to push it too aggressive. It is a potential day for a trade, but again, it's Monday. It's Monday. We just had a big move overnight. London expansion does not lead to the highest probability New York continuation. It's typically going to be a New York retracement, New York consolidation, right? That's what we're anticipating, some sort of consolidation range. And then from there, we'll look for the short-term scalp back to maybe like 5,800 would be my level for ES. So opening range, sweep of lows, then run for 5,800. I would do that. I would very much like that type of trade. What's good, Drew? Yo, welcome. Let's get it. Welcome back from your vacation in Mykonos. Celsius, are you able to type in this chat or no? Is that why you keep typing in the main chat? Let me see. Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, any questions, fire away. I mean, it's a pretty low effort day. I would say I'm not gonna be super engaged with price. I feel like yesterday's Asia session was actually very, very, very productive. There was a lot of opportunity to get involved there. So as far as the New York Open right now, I've listed out all the criteria as to why I'm gonna be a little cautious. Not like avoid it or anything, but I don't need to be aggressive. I mean, this is the time where traders will lose money. They see a big move, they see a big gap, whatever they're looking at on ES, or maybe they're looking at the ETFs. Big overnight gap. It's typically going to get faded to at least some extent, right? Maybe halfway. So if I'm super bullish off the open, you just get run over. And same thing if it sells off all night and then you get super bearish into the open, it likely just bounces. So give it some time, let it develop. You can maybe trade the counter trend back to the average, the mean of the gap, the overnight gap. But I'm not trying to get involved so aggressively on a Monday. Better opportunity ahead. We got a long week ahead, so just take it slow. All right, 30 seconds. So the open, I'm gonna look at my charts. So you see it start to fade. Look at this 4-hour again, right here. So ideally it doesn't close under this 70 area. However, like it's not that far away. 12 points. So yeah, so the 15 are here. It's likely going to bounce somewhere in this area, but it could drive pretty low. So that's why I never say on like a move like this to be super aggressive buying at the open. It could close quite substantially. We don't want it to because obviously I have an underlying bias of it holding above this range. However, I'm not going to ignore just the chart. The chart's going to tell you a lot. It's going to tell you everything you need to know. So important to note, we're, I guess, sweeping, I think, relatively equal with that low. Can't tell. Yeah, now we're below it for sure. So as far as structure goes, obviously higher lows, and then, So you can start looking at some of these fair value gaps. I do not necessarily anticipate this to hold all that well. I think it's going to cut right through this one, just based on the overall like context into it. I don't think we need to buy that, but I mean, you do mark out these areas as potential areas of support, but not every level you look at is going to be super high probability. I don't think this is going to hold all that well, and if it does, it's just there's no real trade for me there either way. So I just wait. So typically, whenever you see some sort of expansion, some sort of fair value gap, you'll see some sort of reaction here. You don't have to trade the reaction. You can, you don't have to, because it's very likely that this doesn't even close above and folds over on the next candle. Ideally, you get a swing point that forms. That's better. So you have that 3 candle pattern with one lower in the middle, and then you can get that run higher. So to me, this isn't exactly the trade I would take. I need a couple different criteria, and this is just a level. A level is just that. I need a lower time frame confirmation, as well as some sort of, I mean, we have a target, but this is not a confirmation on a lower time frame for me. Right there. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. So again, game plan is, as I posted, just waiting essentially for news. I want to see some sort of opening range develop. If we could get an opening range that doesn't sink too low in the first 30 minutes, that would be nice. Paying attention to the 4-hour candlestick, I don't want a huge topping tail. So if that candle flips bearish into 10 a.m., I'll have to keep that in mind. But ideally, it holds kind of sideways for some time just because we've rallied so much overnight. You don't want it to necessarily just run off the open, because if we see that, then, well, there's not really a trade for me at that point. The idea would be just let it develop, let it build out some sideways price action, and then look to engage. We'll monitor a few different levels, but generally speaking, that's the game plan. So you got NQ pushing session highs for New York. It hasn't touched pre-market highs, but it is pushing higher. And 5-minute on ES is pretty decent hammer. You do have that inversion, so potentially it does give you the move higher sooner. We should actually start to monitor that a little closer. We'll see. So you do have this inversion. So now this reaction has given you some sort of entry criteria. We'll watch for this candle to close and then maybe look to see how it reacts to this gap. Because if it can hold higher above here, right, we could get the run above here to maybe 5,800 if it wants to be super aggressive as a trade. So you're holding above. NQ wicked really hard, so I don't think this is necessarily the best idea to get involved here. Look, I'll pull up NQ right here. And you'll see, look how aggressive that wicking is, and that's not even VWAP. That's just the, VWAP's like a mile away. So look at MES. MES is obviously the stronger one, but micro NQ, or just regular NQ, I guess, is pushing lower, so got to be careful, I think. And again, that's not even VWAP. VWAP's like a mile away, so we did get a pullback, so that did validate some of the criteria we wanted. We do have a level, and we have a reaction, so if NQ was not making new low of day, I would be more inclined to take this trade. But based on the fact that NQ is pushing lower, I don't think this is going to be the smoothest unless I see some sort of crazy bounce for NQ. Sometimes you'll see that rotation where one asset's stronger than the other. It's normally not a good sign to be super aggressive at that point because, one's selling off. So why push it super hard? You want the markets aligned. 5-minute closure. 5-minute looks decent on ES as a hammer, but I don't think this is the trade we're going to take. I think we'll probably be patient unless we could see NQ hold. Yeah, it's really hard to get positioned here with the price up here, right? If it was like able to come in here and kind of hold this, then I'd be more inclined, but NQ is kind of floppy. It's hard for me to trust this right here. So And a lot of times when you're trading, you might see a setup that could work, but you can always wait for one that you're pretty sure will work. And if you follow your plan, what's the game plan for today? Essentially, we want to see this kind of at least get to news, build out some sort of sideways structure. All we've seen right now is one little reaction. That doesn't necessarily dictate the direction of the day. This could all just be window dressing. It could just be, moving higher just to trade lower. I don't necessarily think that. I'm just saying in the sense that it's just the first couple minutes. Wait for news. I'm sure something clearer will come. NQ's kind of folded. Yeah, sideways range. It's not losing the low just yet. It's holding it, but it is very sideways. So anyone trading NQ is probably struggling right now. ES is, old reliable at this point. It's a clean move so far, but just not my trade. My trade will be wait for news, follow the process, and it's a win if you stick to that. If you trade your P&L, you end up broke. That's it. Any single time I focus on profits, I lose money. Anytime I have a client that focuses on making money, they end up in drawdown. So you just trade the setup that makes the most sense to you. Pretty decent move so far, though. 83 to 93. That's about 10 points so far. NQ's finally catching up. NQ's breaking these equal highs right now. There you go. Yeah, that thing's kicking. So it's a strong move so far. If you get some sort of internal, like high or low, like right here, somewhere in here, right? That would be a decent trade to look for. We'll see where it happens, maybe down here. But if this gives you a second leg continuation, that would be something I'd be interested in trading. So give it till news. Maybe news wicks it lower, but it's never a bad thing when price does generally what you want to see it do. We wanted to see it come into some sort of internal level. I was saying this one right here, but this is fine. That's fine. It's shallow. It's a shallow pullback. It's an area where it could bounce, right? But it's not. This isn't a trade that I need to buy. This is one that maybe I could buy, but I had a reason not to want to take it just based on NQ. When you're starting to get these potential market rotations where we've been predominantly bearish for, a handful of weeks, if we start switching into a bullish condition, those first few sessions, you're kind of like iffy on whether or not, markets are going to kind of bleed. So you have to take it slow. I'm not going to get super aggressive on my bullish bias just yet because I need to gauge this. I need to see if it's actually doing what I think it's going to do. It's all about information, You can't rush it. So NQ is not closing above that high just yet. Yeah, it's holding under that one. You have a gap right here, obviously. So I don't know if it'll come back into it. Lately, it seems like price has been aggressively running away from these gaps and not really trading it into them. So we'll see. I guess you could argue the 30-second was traded into, but yeah. Either way, we got less than 5 minutes till news, so I'm just going to stick to the plan, wait until then. Because a lot can change, right? Look at this 15, though. I do think higher prices for a bit. It depends if we get there early or not. If we get to 5,800 before news, then oh well. This is definitely the stronger asset, which is why I've been watching it this morning. ES. ES has all year essentially shown us that it's when markets are strong, ES is stronger. So that's why I'm focusing there right now. NQ's pulling back. Yeah, that might be. It's hard to say. That might be an entry on NQ. We'll pull back, but. It's like this looks like a decent entry up here, but I'm not going to touch it. Right here. We'll just wait for this. If it gives us this to target something higher, then we'll take it. We'll do right here. If we could do 57.92 to 58.10, I'll do that trade. That's a trade I like. So basically, up here. So we got about 2.5 minutes till news. We'll see how severe it is. This is a stronger pair. You want to be involved most likely if you're looking for upside in this one. Just because NQ is pretty much back to the opening price. And then if you look right here, ES opening price is right here, 930. So you're going to probably want the one that's going to lead in strength. It's not always true, but almost always it's true. Almost always. So we're into the gap. I don't necessarily need to buy the first test right here. I want to see maybe it form a swing point. A little sketchy because news is getting really close. So this could wick. But I will still watch this level. I think this is a valid level. Minute and a half. So that's all you got. Minute and a half till news. If we waited this long, you wait a little bit longer. So let the news hit, and then you'll see what happens. So very likely there's some sort of news spike. I mean, why not, right? A wick is really easy to form, especially with news. Just shoot it one way real quick. So the goal is to wait until that happens and then engage. All right, let's see if it starts getting a little weird. There is a potential scenario where this just runs higher immediately on news and we're sidelined because the target is close and 30 seconds it could run that. I'll let it work and but if this trade hits without us or without me, I don't know what you guys are doing, do whatever you want. If it hits without me, that'll probably be done. Just because I see this one setup, I don't want to overstay my welcome, I guess, if it hits already. So let's see, what did this do? 57. All right. Yeah, one tick shy of 5,800. That's rude. All right, so we'll watch it now. Now we're interested, right? Let's see how we hold this level. Maybe we dip below it a little bit. Let's see if we can hold it a little bit better. I mean, would this be the momentum entry? Don't want to enter on this. I don't. Now, look at the 5 minute. It could potentially form a top tail here, so we have to be mindful. Ideally, this right here. So that. Yeah, it's typical news. Yeah, if we can kind of get under here, maybe the swing low. I kind of like this. Let's get under here and then prove that we're going to hold this, right? So, and then up. Not in a rush though. I don't think this is super aggressive. It's not. It doesn't tell me to get really aggressive right here. This wick I did pay attention to. This is a potential momentum entry, but I would rather this. I do believe. It's a tricky scenario because it looks good, right? Like if you had that entry before data, it looks good and you could have probably stayed safe, but there's so much uncertainty that's like it's hard to know how data is going to react. It's all this stuff. So it's like you can potentially just end up taking a loss on something that you're very unsure of. So even though it's working, like it's good to see that it's working, right? But it's very hard to say that, oh, that would be a good trade to be in before the news or this or that. It normally, like 9 times out of 10, will not be a really easy idea. Like you couldn't be in this trade with size if you're trying to get in before news. You'd have to have like a couple of micros or something, or just a really wide stop, and it's just not worth it for me. Not on Monday. Not on Monday. I'd rather wait. We do have this gap right here, right? You try that.
Order filled.
My problem is you're just buying a high day, so not crazy risk or anything. Just chipping away at it. I feel like the trade idea is clear. It just needs to see quick momentum. You don't want to see it stall out at the highs, right? You don't want to see it sweep the highs or anything. If it could push this candle high, then we'll be able to get more aggressive with the stop placement. But let's see this candle closure. Over 5,800 would be nice. Decent. It could still reverse right here, though, pretty easily. So I'll try this one setup. If I don't get this and it stops me, then I'll probably just be done for the day. Just because I don't see the location that I want. I mean, I'm trying this with a little less size, right? But It could still work right here. That's why I want to potentially get involved, but I'm not terribly confident in the location, so I am mindful. I am ready to ditch this trade quickly. If I see some sort of quick invalidation, I'm out. Like even this right here, see how it's not closing higher? You got that inside bar. I need to see it push like 5203 in like 30, 40 seconds, or I want to ditch it. So I'm very, very, very picky with this. Like I need to see it above here really quick. I'm gonna give it this candle. If I can't get it on this candle, then I'm done. All right, let's see this next candle. See, I'm literally going to crank it right here because I don't want to be in this trade much longer if it doesn't work. I need to push immediately. See these equal highs right here? I need this to break. On a break of highs, I'm going to go like break even. It's like 2 seconds from getting ripped off, this trade.
Order filled.
Yeah, I'm over it. So, didn't lose anything there, I don't think. It's not moving quick. It needs to move quick. We made 12 bucks. 12 bucks, guys. So up 12 bucks on the day. We made some money last night in Asia, but today we made 12 bucks. It's just not moving quick. Can it still work? Yeah, but it's super grindy at the highs. Like look at the 1 minute on NQ. We've had 4 bars that are long wick, narrow body at the high of day. That does not communicate strength to me. So I'm going to potentially just be a little more picky with it and take the stop real quick just because it's not moving the way I need it to and my entry location is not ideal. If I'm long from lower, then yeah, I don't care. But when I'm long up here, I'm not going to just let it reverse real quick when I don't see it giving me any sort of sign. And, you know, maybe it goes higher or whatever, and everyone's like, oh, you should have done this or that. It's like, no, I should fucking trust my intuition. If it doesn't look right to me, I'm going to take it off. I don't care if it goes 2-3 points higher or hits the target. I'm going to go ahead and see, like, yeah, it's not working. It's not working like I wanted to. I'm not going to hope. If it doesn't work quick, the trade's dead to me. So, you know, we have a lot of area where we could trade back into the inside, see all this shit. But when you do this, like this right here, this should tell you to get out of the trade. It's not moving. It's not doing what you wanted. If I'm looking for a momentum scalp, you need momentum. So just always keep that stuff in mind. You got like an angel and devil on your shoulder. The little devil will always tell you, hey, hold it, hold it, hold it. The angel will say, hey, dude, you already know it's not working. You can see it on the tape. It's not happening. So trust your intuition, especially when you've done this for a good amount of time. Yeah, you can just you can get in the trade again later if you want, but ditch it. If it doesn't work, just ditch it. That's probably one of the biggest lessons from quarter one that I have is just spending too much time nursing trades that just were never going to work. They were never going to work, so don't waste your time. We missed the location, kind of, right, with news. Like, that would have been a better spot to be involved, but as it stands right now, there's no trade for me. So we'll watch it until 10 a.m. We'll see if there's any sort of reversal into 10 a.m. for some sort of pullback back into that range. Maybe get long 57.95 area. And if not, if there is no pullback intraday, then I'll be done before 10:15 a.m. Eastern. So very simple plan. You know, you follow the plan. The bias was higher. It was never lower. I was never saying I need to short this. My plan was higher. I'm trying to buy it for higher prices. However, nothing yet. So we'll give it till 10 a.m. for that higher low formation. We'll give it that little bit of time. If that happens, cool, we'll take it. But yeah, just if you see a trade that's not working, just ditch it. You don't need to hold on to it. Because it's either I can take a $12 win or I could take a $150 stop. You know, the choice is honestly up to us. 5-minute inside candle. So we are working through that 4-hour inverse gap, which I think is actually a really good area to kind of point out for you guys. We do have, we do have this. If we look left, so this is a really good sign of market reversals. And these are areas where price can pull back to. Something like this, I'll point it out for you. So when you zoom in, you see that candle, that big expansion down. That was the expansion that broke out of this like consolidation. It just expanded. That's the origin area. When we get above this, that could become a new support. Same goes for any of these, right? Even this one down here. You could potentially look at these areas as, I mean, if it's strong selling to the downside, once you get above it, it's likely going to have the opposite effect. That's something you can observe over and over in price action. It's really handy stuff. So, I mean, even if you go to look at the lower time frames, I mean, look at where the top of the gap is. You know, had I been maybe a little more mindful of this, maybe I would have got long right in this area, because this is pretty clean. This is pretty clean. And we are drifting higher, sure. But yeah, as far as it goes for me, this is a trade that's really hard to hold. It's really hard because you can't trail it too aggressive. I like being in, having the displacement, but the news kind of gave me an excuse to be cautious, and I'll take it. But yeah, ideally some sort of pullback. Even if we go like this down to here, then go, and then target high of day. I'm down to target high of day if we get a pullback. Unless we hit 5709.75, then yeah, I'll look for any pullback to then potentially reverse higher. This one was killer. This was killer. We talked about it, right? And we were like, oh no, NQ is selling off. Yeah. It gave you that SMT at the lows. Man, what a good trade. It's a good one to study. It reclaimed the opening price, held it a little inside bar, enter here. Even just targeting here, this is a really good trade. Really good base hit. This is the type of trade I like. I like that. It tested a level. It's in this 4-hour gap as well. You know, this one maybe I should have taken, but I didn't know if NQ was going to hold. And if NQ starts selling off all crazy, it'll drag ES down really, really quick. So it's always balancing the equation. Everything's either adding to the probability or taking away from the probability when you're trading. All right, 30 seconds. We'll be done in like 10 minutes, I guarantee it. I don't think this is going to take until 11 a.m. Look for a pullback. If it doesn't give a pullback, I'll be done. Maybe I'll look at the afternoon, but I doubt it. I'll probably just take it easy. Actually, I think I'm busy today, so I don't think I'll do the afternoon. Take a look at NQ's 5-minute chart. Big top wick so far. There's a fair value gap below it on the 5-minute around 300. So I think the next 5-minute candle trades a little bit lower. I don't think it trades this to a new high day right now. I think it folds a little bit lower. So there you go. You get NQ trading lower. We're at 310 right now. Let's see it get into that 300 area before we consider any sort of pullback to be valid. How's everyone doing this morning? Anyone catch anything? There was a couple good long entries, maybe a little too patient today for me, but I mean, I'm not going to complain. Not going to complain. Patience is literally the one thing that makes traders fail. Most traders cannot be patient. So if you're ever overly patient, like that's good. 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 No trades. Awesome. Yeah, the amount of accounts that get blown during just consolidation days last week, like you hear some of the prop firm stats and you're like, dude, this is insane. It'd be the worst days too. People blow 20 accounts. You're like, why are you doing that on the worst day ever? Like it's just not doing anything. Go outside, get some fresh air. Yeah, this might just range at high of day. So one thing you can expect from these types of moves, it gave you a nice expansion. So obviously after expansion comes consolidation. I think it could potentially go like this for a minute, right? Up here, this area to this area. It doesn't necessarily need to be so dynamic. It's nice when it is. It gives us opportunity when it is, but if it wants to go sideways for a bit, then so be it. I'll look at it for a couple more minutes, but I'm not going to waste everybody's time. Got other stuff to do, and honestly, it's better just to prepare for a stronger tomorrow if you don't catch anything solid today. A little bit of green is better than a lot of red. Always remember that. The more you think that you need to maximize every day, the more likely you are to be facing a severe drawdown really soon. So it's all about your maturity level. It's better to make a little bit of money or not lose money than it is to make a lot or try to make a lot of money. Whenever I've made a lot of money on a day, I've never tried to do it. Go figure, right? I've never tried to make thousands with whatever trades. They just happen. They just happen. Size meets opportunity. When the opportunity is there and you're sized appropriately, you can make a lot. But if those two things don't align, you're never going to get it by force. Okay, a little bit of a pullback. Yep. It's always good to get that one out the way. Let's get the funding locked in, and that's all you need. Then let's just chip away at the solid setups you see. Yeah, there's nothing here right now for me a high day. It's just pressing highs or holding highs. So unless we see a real dip, I'm not going to look to buy anything yet. Yeah, be like that sometimes. Let's see. Let's see what we're talking. Yeah, two funded accounts. Yeah, it happens. Intraday. Oh, yeah, that's sick. Purple. Yeah, it's a lot of executions for sure. So I always say it's hard to manage when you got a lot going on. But at least you made money. Live to trade another day. But yeah, definitely tighten up some stuff in my opinion. That's typically what I'll look at because I don't necessarily like when people rotate stuff too much just because it's like juggling, right? It's like juggling. Being selective is a better way to juggle. You don't have to throw as many things in the air. But hey, good job today. Live to trade another day. We got all week. We got 4 more days, so hey, the week ain't going anywhere. And again, there's also a million ways to do this. So yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're missing setups, it's one thing, and I get it. I used to be the worst with that. I'd miss a trade and just need to get in. I'd try it 6 times. Now it's like I understand how bad that will end up. You just had to kind of touch the flame enough, and then you're like, you know what? Fuck that. It's not worth it. So, yep, yep. Yeah, it just literally there's it's all about timing. Trading's you could see the entry, but if you don't have the right timed entry, then it's typically gonna be so much harder. So that's one of the things that like obviously the way that I kind of trade, I focus on like getting in at a specific price. That could kind of help. And then yeah, you can't get the confirmation of a candle close is really solid. But typically, if you have to take the same trade over and over, it's probably just size because your stops in a weird spot or you're overly aggressive with managing it. So you could look at it a few different ways, but I don't want to. I don't like when people have to lose a ton of accounts. I think a lot of it's avoidable. Now you have yeah, you have NQ back into that 5 minute gap. So we'll pull that up real quick. Take a glance at that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of like false breaks too with these flag patterns and stuff. They work to some extent, right? Everything does. Something like this though, it's like you'd be looking for this area to hold. So I have this zone, and I would want to eventually trade that back to high a day. So now I would just wait for this to kind of do something like this, create some sort of structure, and then go higher. So if it can dip, higher, low, think of it like a little head and shoulders. That's essentially what I'd want to see happen here to then target high of day. That's been a pretty mechanical model that works well. Are my charts frozen? What's going on? What the hell? All right, so that's probably signed to not do much today. Top Step's like lagging like crazy. That's weird. Yeah, it froze. No, it froze for a second. I have my main computer hooked up to my fiber internet, and this is just on Wi-Fi on my laptop. So I think maybe TradingView was fine, but Top Step X definitely froze. So I'm gonna be real cautious with this. Yeah, for sure. I have a Top Step right here. My computer was fine. My desktop, my Mac, but my MacBook it definitely froze. Like that's how I saw it. I was like, what's going on? The other charts are moving. It seems like it's froze a couple times today on Top Step X. I think Drew said the same thing. I think Drew said the same thing. Yeah, very choppy right here. So this is also another indication that I'm probably done. See how like grindy it is, grindy. Whenever I get price action that's in these really tight channels, it tells me to avoid it because I never know if it's gonna dip again or if it's gonna finally bounce. So I need to either wait for it to build out a long time or I can just walk away early and set alerts. So I'm probably gonna lean towards setting some alerts. We'll watch NQ a little bit too. I think NQ might be a cleaner bounce. So yeah, you have this 30-second gap. The 15 is pretty much getting deleted. What the fuck happened here? Wait, what? All right, see these charts are broken. These charts are broken. I don't know what's going on here. This closed like this right here, and then it gapped here. What? Huh? That did not happen that way. Yeah, these charts are broken. Fuck's going on? Weird. Very weird. So it looks like Top Step X charts are broken today. Because this NQ chart, I'm very like, it's hurting my head. MNQ is broken. 5 minute inversion. I mean, if you want to short it, go by all means, you could take it. Yeah, MNQ froze. I've seen MES freeze today. I'm not shorting this. Just to be like super clear about it. I'm not shorting this. You've had weeks to short. If you want to short today, have fun. Oh, okay, I got you. 5 minute inversion. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, absolutely. I'll look for that too. I like that idea. I was like, yeah, I'm like, there's no way. There's zero chance I'm shorting today. I'll go walk on water first. I'm not shorting this. Yeah. Yes. Like however you want to look at it. If it's going higher, trend line makes sense, right? level makes sense. It's going to kind of do one of those things at some whatever reference point it is. Maybe it's a moving average. Depends on what you're looking at and what you have the most experience with. But I think for me, yeah, I think for me right now, I think I'm kind of done. This 15-minute inside bar is kind of going to hold for a minute. So maybe to correct a little, yes, I'd be looking for that. I agree. So before I wrap up here, I'm going to leave you with what I think my game plan will be for the rest of the day. I don't think I'm going to rush into anything. However, I will set an alert at 57.92 on ES because if this can close right here, right, and we get a move lower, and then we can hold this 15-minute gap. I like this area. So 57.90s. I'm going to just set an alert right now so I don't forget. 57.92 right here. Add alert. Okay. So if it comes to 57.92, I'll look for an entry. Look for it. Doesn't mean I'm gonna take a trade, but I'll look and see if we can get some sort of lower time frame confirmation. Just that again, that area. So if anyone has questions, just let me know right now. Wrap up in like, I don't know, a minute or so if no one has anything. But that area is what I'm looking at. Good stream today. We played defense. We looked at some setups. I pointed out like 3 locations where price could kind of react. We happened to see it move relatively in line with what I was thinking. When it comes to upside trades, my read is tremendously more strong than downside. Like it's kind of hard for me to see a very strong bearish trend. But if we're going higher, I can read it pretty decent. So that's what we saw today. Bounced at a point of interest on the 15-minute chart. I'll post this one on YouTube. Get this edited in a minute. But yeah, overall, strong trend today. Overnight move, a little bit of a dip at the open. You know, pretty textbook. This is a very, very textbook day. For a run higher, dip off the open, yeah, 100%. So anytime London expands, New York will have the potential to dip a little bit. It could be a lot, but today was just a little bit. And yeah, from there, it gave us that move higher. We're just glued to these highs, though. Like, look at this 5-minute chart. What the fuck? We're just glued. Like, you have 5-minute, like, is this an order block right here? Is that what we're looking at? How crazy. What's higher? Is this the trade? From here to here? It's like a low risk reward, though. It's the only thing. From here to there. Like 1.3. It does look good, though. M and let's see. That's what the 30-second looks like. So you got this displacement. Maybe get a fair value gap right here. MNQ. Maybe the 1 minute. 1 minute. I do think it's going to move higher right now, actually. Yeah, 22 seconds. Ideally, if you get a little pullback somewhere in this range, maybe this. Doesn't really feel like a pullback day. All right, ES is now about to break high of day. I mean, like I can see, I'm just like, I just don't see the exact entries that I want. And, you know, days like this, I think I said this last time, it makes me wonder why sometimes I'm super picky. But again, it's how these habits play out over the next 100,000 trades, you know, next 200 trades. But that's how you know that, like, it doesn't matter how long you do this, you'll always have emotional elements of trading because you'll be curious about things that are just not beneficial to you. Maybe I should rush into a trade. No, why would you want to do that? But that's the human brain. It'll tell you you should be doing more of these bad things. No, you should be doing what works in the long run. So we have ES that pushed the high and then NQ that did not. This would be considered an SMT if this holds, right? So this kind of formation right here with that lower high. If this holds as a swing point, it could potentially be a reversal signal. However, I don't think it's going to be super strong right here. I think it's more likely to hold this gap. I do think I'm chilling for right now though. I think we've seen enough of a move that I'm okay being sidelined at this point. There's been very little room for like error today. There's been very few retests of things, very shallow pullbacks. So it's like you're either in early and you just hold on, or you kind of just either be super aggressive with it. But I think for us to just be patient. Tomorrow will be better. We have the rest of the week, and we're pretty much at our level too. 5709 is our target. We're at 5704 on ES. So I think we'll wrap it there. Wrap it up. If anyone has any questions, let me know. Close up the stream right now. Solid session. I mean, pretty good example of like what goes on when you're reading price, looking at locations, trying to identify areas where it's going to hold, and then you evaluate every potential entry. Doesn't mean you take them. People do the opposite. They take every entry and then they don't even evaluate them. Instead, you need to just be considering, is this something that makes sense for you? If not, then wrap it up, call it a day. So good stream, everybody, but we'll be back tomorrow, be on all week. If you need anything, you know where to find me. Peace.